Mark Smith has served the constituents of the town of Mount Pleasant for 4 years, and now he wants to take his experience to Columbia to serve the constituents of House District 99. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with him one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Mark, it is so good to see you.
Hey Quintin, good morning.
Good to see
I
you.
appreciate you so much, and thanks for moderating our forum 2 weeks ago now in North Charleston. So thank you for doing that.
Yes.
And all that you do. Quintin, I feel like I'm here with a local celebrity. So with all the videos that you're doing of everyone who's seeking office and of people who are currently in office, and I don't know that you get this the appreciation back that you so well deserve. I mean, you're working hard during the day, making $1 and making a difference for yourself, and then you're out hustling, doing these videos in between in all your free time. So let's give a shout out to Quintin.
Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely.
I appreciate this. So here we sit at Mount Pleasant Town Hall in Mount Pleasant. And as I was on my way here, actually, I was thinking this. This is a big week for you. Goodbyes in the next chapter. You're saying goodbye to Mount Pleasant Town Council forever. Yeah. And you're actually running for the State House, for House District 99. Who is Mark Smith right now?
Well, Quintin, that's some of those same thoughts that you just talked about were going through my head as I drove up. This facility is an incredible facility that the town's business gets to be conducted in. And as they have lowered the building in the front, and you can see this beautiful structure from Houston Northcutt, and once that lawn gets put in and it's green and council is inside, the chamber is at night and those lights are on, you're going to be able to drive by and see your town government working for the people of the town of Mount Pleasant. It is a surreal feeling. I'm very, very pleased to say that I've had 100% attendance rating over the past 4 years for my meetings for town council. So tomorrow is election day, as you know, for the State House seat for District 99, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. My very last town council meeting is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Wow. So I talked to my family and I said, I can't blow my 100% attendance record. So yes, Mark Smith will be in attendance and in his seat for the very last meeting, so that I have completely fulfilled my responsibility for the town of Mount Pleasant in my role as town council member. And I'm very, very excited about that. It's been a long past few weeks with trying to have the work balance, the family balance, and the political balance with my almost double or triple duty, if you think about it. I have a town council role that I've been fulfilling all the way up to tomorrow evening. I also chair the water supply committee, which makes me an ex officio water commissioner for Mount Pleasant Water Works. Mount Pleasant Water Works has committee meetings and commissioner meetings as well. So I've had those meetings on top of campaigning for the State House seat. So when I say political triple duty, that's what I really mean by that. But man, I've had such great fun. My family's been so very supportive. Lots of friends have come out and supported the message, and it's just been overwhelmingly positive. The reception from friends that I know, and even strangers and folks that I haven't known throughout the district, as I've gone around and knocking on doors, spreading the message and talking about who is Mark Smith and why they should cast their vote for me in tomorrow's election. So it's been great, Quintin.
Yes, indeed. Why Mark Smith? Why now?
Well, what I've heard over the past 4 years, and has been a label, I guess, that I'll wear proudly, is that, Mark, we appreciate you being the voice of reason on council for us, and also we appreciate you being that fiscal hawk for us, making sure that all of the taxpayer dollars that come into the town budget are scrutinized and held in the sacred trust that they need to be held in. It's so easy, Quintin, for elected officials, and not just elected officials. Let's talk about this in general. Sure. Our employees, our family members. When it's daddy's money you're spending or someone else's money, the OPP, it can sometimes not be held as high regards and accountability as when you're spending your own money out of your own pocket or your own checkbook. And that's one of the things I've always reminded myself. It's like, Mark, this money comes from someone's pocket. And so every decision that you're making, you need to keep that in mind and be a good financial steward to every taxpayer dollar. And when you look at it that way, Quintin, it really makes it easy. It makes the decision making easy, because if I wouldn't spend my dollars doing it, why would I spend yours?
And let me talk about the message. You said this on your Facebook page just recently. You said this quote, "For too long, many elected officials have treated their positions of authority as means to line their pockets. That must end. As your state representative, I will be an agent of change in Columbia and an ethical and selfless leader our area will be proud of." You went on to say this in the quote, "Now more than ever, it is time for honest and ethical leaders who understand what it means to be a public servant." So what will you be as an agent of change?
You know, the heart behind that message there, oftentimes it's the why people say what they say, which is more important than what they say.
Right.
And I would ask you and all the folks who are considering who they're going to vote for, if they've not made their mind up in tomorrow's special election for the State House, is to look at each candidate's past. Because if you look at a man or a woman's history, it's a pretty good indicator of how they're going to behave and act in the future. This State House seat is opened up because of the indictments that were there. And we need to be able to trust our elected officials. You know, it wasn't so long ago, it wasn't so many years ago that our elected officials were held in high regard and high esteem.
Right.
One would hope to become an elected official, someone who was well respected in the community. And it's a shame that we've lost all that due to the corruption and the power that people have been able to obtain over the years. And they have somehow forgotten they actually work for the people, not the other way around. And I'm really, really proud over the past 4 years while serving on Mount Pleasant Town Council. I said from the beginning I wouldn't cash those checks. And I'm pleased to say coming up on Tuesday, 4 years later, I have fulfilled that promise. I donated my town council check at the end of each month to charities that, Quintin, you know this, we've been friends for years, but for those who don't, for nonprofit charities that benefit education, children, hunger issues, and seniors. And why is it? Back to the why behind the what. Why does Mark Smith support those initiatives? It's my walk. It's where I come from, growing up in a small rural town in Bamberg, South Carolina, the youngest of 3 boys in a single mother household. We lived in government subsidized housing. We had hunger issues, food insecurity issues. We had to move in to my mother's mother, my grandmother's home, on several occasions when ends couldn't be met by mom. All 3 boys went to work early to help pay the rent, to help put food on the table. So my mom and my grandmother taught me 2 valuable lessons. Stay in school, get your education, and you can have a better tomorrow. And stay on your knees as often as you can, giving God thanks and praise for every morsel that you have, because we're not due anything in life. You got to work hard for it. So I often say to the younger generation and to my peers, please don't buy into the rhetoric. The American dream is not dead. It's alive and well if you're willing to work hard, get an education, and go after it.
Let me get to the other point. You said this on November 11th, quote, "As a job-creating businessman, I know firsthand how government can help and then how it can hurt. Job growth. I also know our next generation needs the proper preparation and training to be ready for the jobs coming to our region today and in the future. I am running to grow our economy." What is the state of the economy right now in your mind?
Well, there's so many things I want to say in response to that, but I'm going to try to be brief.
Sure, go for
and
it.
cut me off
No,
because
you're
there's
fine.
about literally 6 points I want to make. First of all, I worry about our children. I have 3 boys. We're a house divided. I got a junior at USC, a sophomore at Clemson, and a senior at Wando High School. My wife of 24 years and I are soon to be empty nesters. Where are our children going to be employed? And we're bringing in lots of employers into our area. We almost don't get excited anymore. Many folks do when we hear the big announcement. Volvo is coming to town. Boeing is here. We have more manufacturing jobs coming into South Carolina. But we need to make sure that we realize those are the jobs that our children and our peers today, yes, we do enjoy a low unemployment rate, but man, it could be gone and things could change instantly. We lived through that in this generation not too long ago, in 2008 when we saw the downturn in the economy. Let's make sure that we're continuing to not only identify, recruit, and bring employers here, but let's equally make sure that we're taking care of our existing business owners to help them survive and create an environment. When I say help them,
Right.
specifically I mean, let's make sure we create an environment that allows them to thrive and stay in business and figure out ways how they can provide better wage paying jobs to those employees, how they can have health insurance options, and how we can identify those pre-existing conditions that my family members, my employees have. If we need to continue to make sure that as employers we're looking out for all the areas for our employees, including the job as well as the health benefits that are so necessary to survive these days. And then our senior citizens, how are we keeping those promises to our seniors? We see the mess going on with the pension plan in Columbia. They've made a good start on helping with those issues, but let's make sure we're continuing to keep the promises that we made and also make sure that we're having options that we can afford to pay for tomorrow so we can keep the promises of tomorrow as well for all of our state employees. Senior citizens specifically, I've been very pleased to chair the Office on Aging for the Lieutenant Governor's office. I've been a strong, active, very loud voice for seniors over the past 12 years. I plan to continue that walk because I do that for my grandparents and my parents as they're dealing with the aging issue. All of that is in honor and in memory of them. So making sure our most vulnerable, the seniors, as well as our children who oftentimes can't speak for themselves, are protected from fraud and abuse and neglect issues. So when I talk about jobs and growing our economy, it's all of those things to be able to work, live, play, and thrive. We live in one of the best parts of America. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, this is the Low Country.
Right.
I grew up in Bamberg. We like to say that we're part of the Low Country as well. So I'm not a come here, even though I didn't grow up in the zip code. I've been here my whole life, and I love South Carolina. I love our state. I love the Low Country. But one of the things that we need to make sure that we keep a rising tide lifts all boats mentality, in my opinion. What's good for the Low Country is good for the Midlands and the Upstate. We need to make sure that we recognize it's the whole state we need to benefit while looking out for our district, of course, on every level.
You talk about you being the chairman of the advisory committee, that is, for the South Carolina Office of Aging. And obviously there's a big issue right now about opiatism and heroin.
Yes.
Where are we with that?
You know, I tell you what, where we need to recognize there's finally a huge movement, and shout out to Wake Up Carolina and all the folks who are really starting to make some huge strides. I'm happy to say through the Lieutenant Governor's Office on Aging, we were able to bring, while serving as Mount Pleasant Town Council, my police chief, along with other sheriffs throughout the state, specifically Anderson County and Oconee County, so we can collaborate and share best practices. The town of Mount Pleasant has been a leader, and shout out to Chief Ritchie and all of our police, first responders in the police department and our leadership team there. We have a drop-off box. When something as simple as that, when you have those medications left over, those pain pills specifically in your home, oftentimes the seniors, our parents, and even the children, sometimes those medications are held on to not really for any particular reason, just because they didn't need them and they're leftovers. Those same pills are a source of pills that are being stolen when oftentimes unknown by the grandparent or the parent, or even a buddy comes into my kid's house who may have had a broken arm and had some pain pills prescribed for him and sitting in a prescription bottle unused. And it would be easy for them to come in when they know those are there. So instead of hanging on to those pills, bring those pills in and drop them off at a take-back location. And we have one of those offices right here at the police department. And we have the annual take-back at some of our partnership, like Tidewater Pharmacy here in Mount Pleasant, and some of the other pharmacies as well. And most importantly, educating people that this is really a serious issue. As a professional in my private world, you know that I own funeral homes. Quintin, we have buried enough children, young adults, and even middle-aged folks who have overdosed on heroin. It is time for us to wake up and to recognize that this is a problem, and whatever we can do to educate folks on the issue and how we can solve those issues and strengthen some of the laws in the state to allow the municipal, the sheriffs on the county level and the police officers in the municipal level to be able to go after those who are breaking those laws and keep them in prison. But more importantly, let's get the education out there and be proactive in that and not continue to be reactive as a result of attending funerals.
Describe to me the following.
Thank you for asking about that issue specifically, Quintin. That's a really, really important issue for our state.
Oh, yes.
And nationwide as well.
You're right about that. And speaking of which, describe to me the following one word: ethics reform.
Well, we talked about people using their position for power earlier and for garnering a paycheck. I worry about people going to Columbia who need that paycheck in order to keep their income level at a sustainable level. If they don't have some type of means. We're men of the flesh. We are all subject to temptation. No one is void that. So what I would hope is that we would do, this is not one word either, is it? You asked me for one word. Quintin said one word, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm not a one word guy. But we'll get, so accountability, transparency. Yeah. But I would go back to that accountability piece, making sure your deed matches your creed. So don't just walk the walk, don't talk the talk, walk the walk in all that you do. And don't use your position in any level of government, a local level, a county level, a state level, or a federal level, to garner personal income for yourself. I would fully support full disclosure of income sources for me, my family members. Of course, those are, in my opinion, no-brainer decisions that are so basic and rudimentary that it almost is embarrassing that you ask the question, or we have to even address that. The filing. Right. When I filed for the State House race, I was amazed at how little information I had to put on that application when I filed. So I think it starts from that point, from the very beginning, from when a person files. Right. Let's make sure that we're communicating what the expectations are, what the disclosures are, and if someone's not willing or has a problem from the very beginning of filling out and completing everything that's on that application, guess what, Quintin? Maybe this position is not for you. Maybe you're not in that position to really walk out true ethics reform that we need to have in our current and future leaders. So we need people like Quintin Washington, who are out serving the public, doing the right thing for the right reason, to step up on every level of government, because we need good, honest, ethical leaders making those decisions for us today.
You talk about leaders. You've gotten a handful of endorsements from General Livingston to Arthur Ravenel. What do those endorsements tell about you?
Well, I would tell you that endorsements are wonderful, and they are a huge compliment. To have a Medal of Honor recipient sit next to me in a video and say the words man of integrity, honesty, and values, civility. General Livingston is a legacy and a local hero. And I almost wanted to say to him, he gave me permission. We've been longtime friends and we're in Rotary together. Yes. So, no disrespect when I don't say General Livingston. Okay. He's a personal friend of mine. Jim and Sarah are personal friends of mine. So with his permission, I say Jim. When Jim says those words to me, I want to interrupt him and say, Jim, stop. You're the legend here. You're the hero. You're the one who needs to have all those accolades. And Cousin Arthur Ravenel. Come on, who doesn't love Cousin Arthur Ravenel? So to hear he and Miss Rick support me in the State House effort, knowing what they have seen and done over their many years of serving, is truly, truly humbling on a deep, deep level. Those aren't just words. I really mean it. But Quintin and the South Carolina Education Association. Right. Quintin, I'm running in a Republican primary. You and I both know, and everyone watching this video knows, that's typically given to the Democrat candidate. And they said that to me. But because of my background, because of my active role in promoting education, understanding the issues, and all the issues that surround education, including hunger in the classroom, it's difficult for that child to learn and thrive if he or she's sitting there with a hungry belly. Yeah. That's what the Low Country Food Bank has done with those backpack buddies for years, and serving them through the 10 coastal counties. So, and understanding the private partner opportunities through the school systems. all those endorsements mean the world to me. But what means the most to me is for an individual person to go to the polls on a Tuesday, on an off election day, and press the button for Mark Smith. So that's the endorsement that means the most to me, is for the common, everyday, working class man and woman who understands that this common working class man will always be a voice of reason and an advocate for all people around the table, not just any particular group. I don't have any friends to reward. I don't have any enemies to punish. I'm doing it for all the right reasons, but I can't do it without people going to the polls to vote.
A couple of things stuck out to me. Okay, if you were elected Representative Mark Smith in Columbia, what would you do on day one about scanning Santee Cooper?
Oh, wow. So we are all reading the papers, so I won't recite everything that we just read, even in today's paper on that. So, and for anyone out there who haven't read that, please pick up the Posting Courier and make sure you're following this story, because I believe they're doing a yeoman's job of keeping us up to date. And we know that there's always so much more behind the story than we know that we're able to read in the newspaper or on a blog or even from our friends on their Facebook post as well. But Quintin, I would love to have me as a small business owner. You know that we talked about earlier, I own funeral homes. I need to have me a funeral home base load review act. How about that? So how about we create laws that allow me as a small business owner to make poor, bad decisions, and yet I can have the marketplace take care of my business by forcing them to pay and subsidize my business. It just doesn't work that way, folks. That's not how the free enterprise system works and thrives. Day one, we need to make sure we're up there representing who? Not ourselves, not any special interest groups, including power companies, the taxpayers, the ratepayers. Day one, we're going to go up there and we're going to make sure that we're saying, hey, wait a minute, enough's enough, guys. Stop this right now. Just like they did on the pension plan. Let's stop the hemorrhaging and let's get this back to a care that we can address it. And let's don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It is a $9 billion, that's a B, $1 billion asset that is owned by you and me as members and citizens of the state. So let's just don't throw that away for pennies on the dollar based on elected officials' decision that that's the best thing to do. May I say this? It's elected officials who've allowed us to be where we are today. So clearly, elected officials on their own weren't able to do the job to prevent us from being where we are today. I mean, no disrespect to anyone in that position. But as a business owner, as a man of faith, as an elected official, I surround myself with an accountability group that includes subject matter experts in each of those areas, whatever role that I'm evaluating and trying to learn and grow in. The same no-nonsense, uncomplicated way of making decisions is how we need to make sure that every decision in Columbia is being made. Let's bring in the industry outside experts to make sure that as elected officials who have the power to make the votes, to vote up or down on an issue, is well informed on the issues. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, is exactly what I've already done. Making sure that I'm educated on the issues and making sure that all those around me are educated on the issues, and focus on a collaborative bringing people together for the good of the whole, so that we can have laws that are passed that are going to benefit everyone, not just special interest groups. One person can't go and change the state by themselves, nor the world, but one person can spark enough and ignite enough fire to create a vision that many people can understand, buy into, and then all of a sudden we have a movement moving forward. But it takes that one person with a strong spine and a backbone willing to say, enough is enough. Let's make sure we're taking care of the taxpayer and the ratepayer.
Is it enough? Is enough with growth in Berkeley County and District 99?
What a great problem for us to have and for you to talk about. Growth. I mentioned earlier I grew up in Bamberg, South Carolina. Have you been through Main Street, Bamberg, South Carolina, or any of the neighboring rural municipalities lately in the past 5 years?
Oh, yes.
It's very, very depressing and sad with the negative population growth in a lot of our rural counties. So first of all, I think we need to at least recognize the real world problems that we have are a great problem to have versus being on the other side of this. All of us want to see a growing, thriving part of the country that we're living in. However, we need to make sure that our infrastructure needs are prioritized ahead of all of that growth. And far too long, with all due respect to all of our previous administration in Columbia, they have been banging on their chest about what fiscal conservatives they are with having a surplus budget year after year. Quintin, it's no different than your home or my home. If we get our mail every day and we go through the mail and we take all of our bills and we just toss them over to the side and then we file the other communications away, the next day we repeat it, the next day we repeat it, and we do that month after month, year after year. You have a paycheck from Qology coming into your house, and if you don't pay your rent, your light bill, buy your groceries, and all the bills that are coming in, all of a sudden, and make the investments in that house that you're living in, including your roof, painting, the foundation, maintaining the grounds, suddenly that house is going to come crumbling down because you've not been proactive in your capital improvement projects, basically maintaining it. In my opinion, that's no different than Columbia. Why is it that Charleston County and the town of Mount Pleasant 5 years ago had to create Highway 41 widening as the #1 legislative priority for Columbia? We've been going up to Columbia for the past 4 years. This current mayor and this current council and the previous council all have been working very, very hard for the funding from Columbia to come in place. That project is $120, even $130 million estimated project. Quintin, our entire budget for the town of Mount Pleasant is $120 million. It's a state road. It's not unlike the drainage and flooding issues that we're dealing with in the old village in the town of Mount Pleasant. Do you know that 3/4 of those roads belong to the state, not the town? Those issues didn't just start in this administration. The flooding issues in the town of Mount Pleasant, we've heard residents come and even appeal to council. My house has been flooding since I was a child. So for generations, this issue's been going on. It didn't just happen last year. We need to hold our elected officials accountable and make sure that every dollar is being spent in our basic core services of government. And Quintin, I have to believe that roads, infrastructure, bridges, and safety are fundamental purposes of our government. So let's make sure that we're spending our dollars on those primary areas first so that we can handle the growth in all of the high growth area. Greenville, Columbia. Do you know that Hanahan, over the past 6 years, based on the square footage of the landmass, is about 10 square miles. Mount Pleasant's a little north of 40 square miles. When you look at the population growth from 2012 to today, compared to the landmass, Hanahan's growth rate is 4 times faster than that of Mount Pleasant. So for my friends and colleagues over in Hanahan making those decisions, my friends and colleagues in Berkeley County, I've been a business owner in Berkeley County and Charleston County since 1999. I have created jobs. I got employees living in each of those municipalities. So I see it and hear it firsthand every day. We better prioritize infrastructure and get very serious about it and hold up both our county and our state and our federal elected officials, hold their feet to the fire and say, you will be held accountable to your constituents, because guess what? Elected officials inside the Beltway in DC, elected officials up in Columbia and on Leeds Avenue on the county level, we the people elected you to represent us, and we expect you to look out for our needs, and those have got to be dealt with.
Mark Smith, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Hey, Quintin, thank you very much. And again, we would just shout out to everybody. Remember, there's a special election. Yeah, a special election coming tomorrow, November the 14th. Right. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. Right. Please, 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 let's make this special election the highest voter turnout ever. Let's try to get to 10% even. And how sad is it that we want to try to get to 10% voter turnout? But please remember to vote tomorrow, and please, let's all keep Quintin as he continues to work hard for us in bringing these important matters up to us, and our thoughts and prayers, and wish you the very best. Keep up the great work, Quintin. We're really, really proud of you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.